Hello and welcome to SciFi MineCart. Well, the Christmas season has ended and the new year is here. And what better way to celebrate than with some classic sci-fi horror? Cue title card. The Brain That Wouldn't Die is a 1962 sci-fi horror film and is essentially your stereotypical mad scientist flick. And as such, it has everything that a stereotypical mad scientist flick needs. These elements include, but are not limited to, a giant Frankenstein's monster-esque monster that lumbers around. In fact, utilizing this monster, there's even a Dr. Caligari-esque scene of the monster carrying a pretty woman that has been replicated by pretty much every single monster movie to date. And also, not unlike Igor to Dr. Frankenstein, our main character has himself an assistant who is subservient to him. As well as this, there's also plenty of chemistry sets that look nice and scientific, made-up scientific babble that seeks to explain how exactly things are being done without ever actually going into it, because who cares, half-assed philosophical debates about the moral issues of playing God, and of course some fantastic horrific scenes involving dismemberment that can be enjoyed by the whole family. So you might well be wondering, if this film is so very stereotypical, what is the actual point of talking about it above any other of the very many stereotypical mad scientist flicks? Well, if you were wondering that, great question, and it's actually what I'm about to get down to. And to basically sum it up in its most simple terms, the thing that sets apart The Brain That Wouldn't Die from the millions and billions and trillions of D-grade sci-fi films that share a very similar feel is the fact that The Brain That Wouldn't Die is a genuinely creepy and rather unsettling movie. The Brain That Wouldn't Die demonstrates its commitment to being extraordinarily creepy from the very onset of the film, which begins with this.
Let me die. Let me die.
That's right, even before the film's title card has come up, the movie greets you with a black screen and the sound of a terrified woman begging for death. If that doesn't immediately get you feeling a little bit creeped out, you've got a much stronger spine than I do. And helping assist this underlying theme of horror that surrounds the entire film is the soundtrack, which keeps you on edge and having a feeling of foreboding throughout the entire movie. And then once this is done establishing the mood, what follows is a rather creepy plot. So with that in mind, let's actually get started by talking about the plot itself. And obviously spoiler warning, because I'm going to be talking about the storyline, and you can't talk about the storyline without spoiling the storyline. So you have been warned. The film starts with our main character, Dr. Bill Courtner, who is definitely far from being a hero, saving a patient by using medical practices that the other doctors, including his father, warn him are possibly outside of the bounds of proper moral behavior. Their main objection were that the medical practices he was using had not actually been properly tested. However, as Billy Boy points out, and as they begrudgingly admit, the results are undeniable and the patient is saved. However, not long after, the brilliant scientist causes a car crash because he's driving too fast, which I suppose is a common thing for brilliant scientists to do, but this one, Billy Boy, doesn't become Doctor Strange, but instead ends up running through a field with the decapitated head of his now dead girlfriend. Which I think most of us can agree is a generally bad turn of events for pretty much anyone's day. Dr. Bill, then using his scientific prowess, manages to stabilize his girlfriend's decapitated head and brings her back to life, as in just her head, with the magic of science. But this is definitely not Futurama, and understandably, Dr. Billy Boy's girlfriend is not too happy about being a decapitated head, and is not too fond of the very recent memory of burning to death. With the intention of restoring his girlfriend to her previous bipedic nature, the Doctor sets out to find a girl he finds attractive, to harvest her body, decapitate the girl's head, and sew the body onto his now decapitated girlfriend. These scenes, I feel, are no doubt a social commentary on the predatory nature of some males, as we see our main character visiting bars, swimsuit competitions, and even old friends with nothing but the intention of quite literally taking their body for his own perverted means. This is the ultimate corruption of the character. At the beginning of the film, he justified his moral transgressions by pointing out that they managed to save a life. However, now, the drive to save a life, one that is particularly connected to his, is driving him to actually take a life. Despite having started the film as a morally misguided doctor who, while definitely having a lot of self-interest, at least cared a little bit about saving lives, he has now become more of a Ted Bundy character. And to make things even more disturbing, all the while that he's trying to harvest a body, his girlfriend's decapitated head is quite literally begging for death. She simultaneously wants nothing to do with the moralistic monster her boyfriend has become, nor does she want anything to do with the physical monster he's made her. And in the end, she teams up with yet another one of his earlier medical monsters, managing to save the girl, kill Billy Boy, and burn the entire laboratory to the ground. The film then finishes off just as creepy and unsettling as it began, bringing the entire thing full circle. And so there you have it, The Brain That Wouldn't Die, an extremely above average and thoroughly enjoyable mad scientist flick. If you've not watched many old movies, you might have a bit of trouble with the pacing because it is a bit slow, as most movies from the era are, but aside from that, it holds up very, very well, and if you enjoy this kind of movie, and you've not seen it, it's definitely worth a look in. Thanks for watching and Happy New Year. Until next time, I have been and still am Grim Grindle.
Like all quantities, horror has its ultimate, and I'm that.